For me, it's been a state of just allowing it to come to me. I've never chased after things. It's like, I shouldn't say I never have. I don't any longer. I did at one time in my life, and I found that the more I chased, the more I tried to grasp, the more I tried to make it happen, so the more it would elude me. But when I would just let go and have a real clear vision of seeing myself serving in some capacity, that whatever it was that I needed would just show up. I don't know if that's helpful to you or not, but getting that inner picture for yourself is, and getting it to, being more at peace with it is, because so much of our energy is around shortages and lacks, and I don't have enough, and I'm not going to make enough. It's all about me, me, me. When your focus is off of that and onto serving and offering and allowing and creating, the phone will ring. Something will show up in the mail. Somebody will call you and, or see you and say, you know what, you'd be the perfect person for this place. When somebody comes up to you and says, why don't you apply here? Or what, and you think, well, that was just a coincidence, or I was looking for a job or whatever. But that isn't. That's the way the universe works. I think that's how God works within us. When we're at peace, when we're letting go, and we're not trying, in the Tao it says, let yourself be lived by it. Instead of you living it and trying to do it and conquer it and be in charge of it, let yourself be lived by it. Relax, let go within, and just know that whatever it is that you need to be doing at this moment, it's all in divine timing. It's all perfect. There's nothing that's not going to work out for you. I don't know. That's always worked for me my entire life. I've never had a shortage of jobs. I've always had more offers than I could handle. Job hunting has never been a difficulty thing for me, and so I'm not always a good person to talk to about it, except that it's, I've always just had a knowing that whatever it is that I find interesting or exciting or passionate or moving or motivating or whatever, that I know within me that there's a way to make a living at that. It isn't just something that I find of interest. It doesn't make any difference what it is. It's like I tell my son Sans, who's going to be 21 on October the 9th, and he just got back from a trip to Indonesia doing surfing, and he's in school, he's in college, he's up at the University of Central Florida, and he's doing fine, and, his whole life, his whole passion, everything about his life is this surfing thing. I mean, he just gets up in the morning, and he checks where the waves are all over the world, and, when you watch him on a surfboard, it's totally his passion. And I've told him so many times, you don't have to go to business school, you don't have to go to college, if that's not, especially now at the age of 20, if that's not what you want to be. That feeling that you have of being on a surfboard and riding that wave and being at one with the ocean, all the excitement, the energy. I mean, he talks endlessly about it. It's just, it's his whole life. I said, there's a way to make a living at that. Just begin to imagine yourself as being able to do this, and still, whether I'm teaching other people about it, whether I work in a surf shop, whether I start my own surf shop, whether I do surf lessons, on a beach, whether I make surfboards, whether I study oceanography, whatever it might be, whether I get on one of these boats and learn how to, be a captain on a boat that takes surfers around. There's endless numbers of ways to, when you see surfboards and you see people out there surfing, somebody has to make the boards and somebody has to teach them. And I said, it's like, follow your passion, follow your bliss. Know within, this is what excites me. This is the thing that turns me on. And if it is, and it doesn't matter what age you are or how long you've been doing what you've been doing, I have men in their 40s and 50s say to me that, well, I can't change professions now. I've been doing it for 25 years. I said, well, who decided that you were going to be, say, an engineer or a lawyer or a doctor or whatever it is? Well, I decided that when I was 18. I said, and you're now 50? Would you go to an 18-year-old and ask that 18-year-old for advice on what you should be doing in your life? And I said, well, of course not. That's ridiculous. I said, well, isn't that what you're doing? You're allowing an 18-year-old to decide that because that's what you decided a long time ago, but your passion is pulling you in this direction. Listen to that bliss. I think it's a real important lesson. I got to tell you this. I had one of the most beautiful experiences, and I've been doing it with every chapter of this book that I'm writing, Excuses Be Gone. With every chapter, before I start the next chapter, and there are 18 chapters, I go out to this place. It's about 30 miles, maybe 35 miles from where I am on Maui, in West Maui, and it's a waterfall. And this waterfall comes down, like about 50 feet or so, and there's a pool there. And I go into this place, and I stay under this waterfall, and I let the water just cascade down on my head. And in those hours that I spend out there in that peaceful, beautiful place, everything I need to know for the next chapter is there. I don't have an outline. I don't have any organization. I don't have a suit and tie. I don't have any all of the accoutrement that we have, that we believe is associated with a job, is all gone. And I'm out there in this beautiful, blissful place in the middle of this jungle, and it's a rainforest, and it's the most beautiful place in the world. And I come out of there, and it's almost as if God wraps his arms around me and says, this is what you'll need to do for this next chapter. Just go in there, be at peace. And when I leave there, after a couple of hours of being immersed in nature and finding my own nature in there, I come back here and I sit down and I write, and everything just flows so easily and so beautifully. You follow your bliss. You just allow it. And everyone else thinks, well, that's crazy. You're driving 35 miles, then you have to hike 2 hours into this place, and it's so isolated, and you go out there. And I said, I wouldn't even begin to know how to start a chapter without making conscious contact with God. And that's how I do it. It's just my way. But it's not the way. It's just my way.